Before we dive into this story, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. We're so close to our next milestone, and your support means everything. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from you all. Now, let me tell you about the night that changed my entire life. Some people say you can feel when your life is about to change. I call that nonsense. Because when I turned down Mulberry Street in Little Italy that cold October night, I felt nothing except annoyed that my GPS had led me into a maze of narrow streets looking for parking. I had no idea that in exactly 4 minutes, I would witness a murder. And in exactly 5 minutes, I would lock eyes with Vincent Marcello, the most powerful crime boss in New York City. The man who would become my husband. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, from that moment when everything I thought I knew about my safe, predictable life shattered like glass. My name is Catherine Hayes, and before that night, I was exactly what you'd expect from a 38-year-old pharmaceutical sales rep living in Manhattan. Divorced, kid in college, methodical, careful, boring. My biggest risk was trying a new restaurant without checking the reviews first. That Tuesday started normally enough. Client meetings in Midtown, then dinner plans with my sister Angela at this new Italian restaurant she'd been raving about, Lucia's on Mulberry Street. The place was supposed to be authentic, family-owned, the kind of spot where the grandmother still makes the pasta by hand every morning. I was running late because my last meeting went long. Typical. I texted Angela that I'd be there in 20 minutes and started the hunt for parking. Anyone who's tried to park in Little Italy knows what fresh hell that is. The streets are barely wide enough for one car, let alone two with parking on both sides. I finally found a spot on a side street. I think it was Kenmare, maybe Broome, one of those narrow alleys that feels more like a passage between buildings than an actual street. Old brick warehouses on one side, the back entrances to restaurants on the other. Dim lighting, mostly deserted at 8 p.m. on a weeknight. I should have known something was wrong. The street was too quiet, too empty. But I was focused on my phone, texting Angela, grabbing my purse, checking my lipstick in the mirror. That's when I heard it. A voice, sharp and commanding, speaking rapid Italian. I don't speak Italian, but I understood the tone. Someone was very, very angry. I looked up. 30 feet away, in the alley between two buildings, 4 men stood in a semicircle. 3 of them wore dark suits, their backs to me. The 4th man was on his knees, hands clasped in front of him, pleading. I should have looked away. Should have started my car and driven off. But I was frozen, watching like it was a movie scene playing out in front of me. The man in the center, the one doing all the talking, was tall and broad-shouldered. Even from behind, he commanded attention. His suit was impeccable, his posture radiating authority. When he raised his hand, the other 2 men stepped back. That's when I saw the gun. My breath caught in my throat. This was real. This was actually happening. The kneeling man was crying now, begging in Italian. The tall man said something sharp, final. Then, he pulled the trigger. The sound cracked through the alley, like thunder. I gasped, not loudly, but loud enough. All 3 men turned. And that's when I saw his face. Vincent Marcello was probably in his mid-40s, though it was hard to tell. Some people age into their power, and he was one of them. Dark hair silvered at the temples, sharp features that could have been carved from marble, and eyes, God, those eyes were black as midnight and twice as dangerous. He was staring directly at me. For a moment that lasted an eternity, nobody moved. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my body had turned to stone. Then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not even a particularly threatening smile. It was almost curious, like I was a puzzle he hadn't expected to find. Gentlemen, he said, his voice carrying across the street with perfect clarity. We have a witness. The 2 men with him started moving toward me. That broke the spell. My hand fumbled for the car keys, shaking so badly I dropped them. They clattered onto the pavement beneath my car. No. No, no, no. Wait. Vincent's voice stopped them. He walked toward me himself, taking his time, each step measured and deliberate. I pressed myself against my car door, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. He stopped about 5 feet away. Up close, he was even more imposing, tall enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes, built like he could break me in half without effort. "You picked a bad street to park on," he said. His voice was surprisingly gentle, almost amused. "I didn't see anything," I managed to whisper. "Catherine." He said my name like he'd known it forever. We both know that's not true. How did he know my name? Then I realized my phone was still in my hand, my driver's license visible in the case behind it. "Please," I said, and I hated how my voice shook. "I won't say anything. I swear. I'll forget this happened. I'll dash." "You're in shock," he interrupted. "That's understandable. But let me be very clear about something." He took one step closer. "What you saw tonight makes you a problem. The question is what I'm going to do about that problem." I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. "The normal solution is obvious," he continued. "Quick. Efficient. You'd be found in a dumpster in Staten Island by morning." He paused, studying my face. "But you interest me. You're not from this neighborhood. Not connected to my world. You're just unlucky. Wrong place, wrong time." "Yes," I gasped out. "Exactly. Just unlucky. So here's what's going to happen, Catherine. You're going to give me your phone. You're going to get in my car. We're going to go somewhere quiet and have a conversation about your future, specifically, how to ensure you have one. And if I say no?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Then you don't get a future. It's remarkably simple." One of his men had retrieved my keys from under the car. Vincent held out his hand for my phone. I gave it to him. What choice did I have? The car was a black Mercedes with windows so dark I couldn't see inside. He opened the back door and gestured for me to get in. I climbed inside on shaking legs. He slid in beside me, close enough that his knee brushed mine. The door shut, enclosing us in leather-scented darkness. The driver pulled away without being told. "Where are you taking me?" My voice cracked. "My restaurant. Ironically, probably the same one you were heading to originally, Lucia's. It's mine. The whole block is mine, actually." He was watching me with that same curious intensity. "You're handling this better than I expected. What do you want me to do? Scream? Pass out?" Some people would. He leaned back, somehow looking completely relaxed despite having committed murder 5 minutes ago. "You're practical. I appreciate that. It's going to make this easier." "Make what easier?" "The negotiation." He pulled out his phone, my phone, I realized, and scrolled through it with practiced ease. "Catherine Hayes, age 38, lives alone in a studio on the Upper East Side. Sales rep for Mercer Pharmaceuticals. One son, Daniel, freshman at Boston University. Divorced 3 years. No current relationship." He looked up. Should I continue? The fact that he could access all that so quickly made me nauseous. "What do you want from me?" "Information first. Who are you meeting tonight?" "My sister, Angela, at Lucia's." He typed something on his phone. "Angela Hayes, married, name Rossi. Husband Tony Rossi." He paused. "Rossi. Related to the Rossi family in the Bronx?" "I don't know. Maybe. Tony's cousin Vincent runs some restaurants, I stopped. "Wait, you don't think that you're connected to a rival family?" "I'm considering it." His eyes were cold now. "That would change things considerably. I'm not connected to anyone." The words burst out of me. "I don't know anything about any families or organizations or whatever you people call it. Tony's just a contractor. Angela's a nurse. We're boring, normal people who have no idea what you're talking about." He studied me for a long moment. Then he called someone. "Check on Tony Rossi, married to Angela Hayes. I want to know every connection." He hung up. "We'll know soon enough." The car pulled into a private garage beneath the building. We got out, Vincent's hand at my elbow, not quite dragging me, but making it clear I didn't have a choice. We took an elevator to the 3rd floor and emerged into a private dining room that overlooked Mulberry Street. It was beautiful. Warm lighting, original brick walls, a table set for 2, with wine already breathing in crystal decanters. "Sit," Vincent said, not unkindly. I sat. He took the seat across from me and poured wine into both glasses. I don't want any, I said. You need it. Trust me. He slid a glass toward me.
Drink.
You're safe here. Safe? You just told me you might kill me.
Might.
Past tense. I've decided I'm not going to. He sipped his own wine. Tony Rossi is legitimate. Your sister married a civilian. You're who you appear to be, just someone who parked in the wrong spot. Relief flooded through me so intensely, I felt dizzy. So, I can go? Not quite that simple. He set down his glass. You saw something tonight. You can identify me. That makes you a permanent liability unless I do something about it. My relief evaporated. You said you weren't going to kill me. I'm not. I'm going to do something much more complicated. He leaned forward. I'm going to make you loyal to me. Ensure you have no reason to ever speak about what you saw, and every reason to keep my secrets.
How?
By making you part of my world. By giving you protection, resources, a life you couldn't have otherwise. By making it so that my success becomes your success. He smiled slightly. By making you mine, Catherine. I stared at him. You're insane. Possibly. But I'm also your only option. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it. Your sister has called you 4 times. Should we let her know you're alive? What am I supposed to tell her? The truth, or close to it. You met someone. You're having dinner. You'll call her tomorrow. He slid my phone across the table. Make it believable. With shaking hands, I called Angela. Hey, I'm so sorry. I met someone. It's complicated. Can we reschedule? Angela's delighted squeal nearly burst my eardrum. You met someone? Catherine. Who? Where? Tell me everything. Tomorrow, I promise. I've got to go. I hung up before she could ask more questions.
Vincent was smiling again. See?
Easy. Now, let's have dinner. We have a lot to discuss. And that's how I ended up having the strangest dinner of my life with a mafia boss who'd just committed murder in front of me. Over the next 2 hours, Vincent Marcello told me things I never wanted to know. About his organization, about the territories they controlled from Little Italy to the Bronx, about the legitimate businesses that funded everything, about the complex web of loyalty and power that kept it all running. Why are you telling me this? I finally asked. Because you need to understand what you're being offered. Protection, Catherine. Real protection. The kind that means no one will ever touch you or your family. The kind that means your son finishes college without debt, that your sister's husband gets the contracts he bids on, that your life becomes easier in 1,000 small ways. In exchange for what? My silence. In exchange for your company. He said it simply, like it was obvious. I want to see you again.
Get to know you.
See if this chemistry I'm feeling is real or just adrenaline. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Chemistry? You threatened to kill me. And yet here you are still talking to me. Still curious. His eyes glinted. Tell me you don't feel it. This pull. You've been watching me all night like I'm a puzzle you want to solve. He wasn't wrong. That was the most disturbing part. Against all logic, all self-preservation, I was intrigued by this dangerous man sitting across from me. This is insane, I whispered.
Yes.
But perhaps insanity is what you need. From what I see on your phone, your life is safe, controlled, and utterly predictable. When's the last time you felt truly alive? Before I could answer, the door opened. A woman in her 60s entered, silver hair, sharp eyes, dressed elegantly in black. She took one look at me and started speaking rapid Italian to Vincent. He responded calmly, but I caught my name in the exchange. The woman turned to me. Catherine Hayes. I'm Lucia Marcello, Vincent's mother. He tells me you had an unfortunate experience tonight. I didn't know what to say to that. My son has interesting ways of meeting women, she continued dryly. But I've learned to trust his judgment. If he says you're someone worth knowing, then you probably are. Will you join us for Sunday dinner this week? I looked between them, completely lost. Vincent smiled. My mother runs the family in more ways than the obvious ones. If she's inviting you to Sunday dinner, she's giving her approval. That's rarer than you might think. I don't understand what's happening, I said honestly. Lucia patted my hand. You witnessed something that put you in danger. My son is ensuring that danger becomes protection instead. It's actually quite romantic when you think about it. Romantic. My voice pitched high. Vincent doesn't bring women to meet me, Catherine. In fact, he's never brought anyone to meet me. You must have made quite an impression. She switched back to Italian, said something that made Vincent's jaw tighten, then left as suddenly as she'd arrived. What did she say? I asked. That if I'm serious about you, I need to court you properly, not just scare you into compliance. He ran a hand through his hair, suddenly looking less like a dangerous criminal and more like a man dealing with a meddling mother. She's right. I'm handling this badly. You think? He laughed, a real laugh that transformed his face. Fair point. Let me start over. He stood, walked around the table, and held out his hand. Catherine Hayes, I'm Vincent Marcello. I'd like to take you to dinner tomorrow night. A real date, with no threats or coercion. Just two people getting to know each other. Will you say yes? I should have said no. Should have demanded he take me home. Should have run as far from this man and his world as possible. Instead, I heard myself say, "What time?" He picked me up at 7 the next night from my apartment in the Upper East Side. I'd spent the entire day alternating between panic and curiosity. I'd even called Angela to tell her about Vincent from Little Italy, leaving out the minor details about murder and organized crime. He sounds mysterious, Angela had said, excited. You need mysterious. You've been too careful since the divorce. If she only knew how mysterious. Vincent showed up exactly on time, wearing a different suit, charcoal gray this time, perfectly tailored. He looked younger somehow, the harsh edges from the night before softened. You look beautiful, he said, and I almost believed he meant it. He'd chosen a small French restaurant in the West Village, quiet, elegant, the kind of place where they know your name. The host greeted Vincent warmly, led us to a private corner table. Do you own this place too? I asked once we were seated. No, but the owner is a friend. You're safe to speak freely here. Am I safe anywhere with you? That depends on your definition of safe. He ordered wine without looking at the menu, then turned his full attention to me. Tell me about your life, Catherine. The real version, not what I read on your phone.
So I did.
I told him about growing up in Pennsylvania, about meeting my ex-husband in college, about Daniel and how proud I was of him. About the divorce 3 years ago when I discovered my husband's affair with his assistant, cliché and devastating all at once. About rebuilding my life in New York, about the loneliness that had become so familiar, I barely noticed it anymore. You deserve better than lonely, Vincent said quietly. And you're offering what? Excitement? Danger? A front row seat to whatever criminal empire you run. I'm offering myself. Everything that comes with that, good and bad. I'm not a good man, Catherine. I've done things that would horrify you. But I'm honest about who I am. And I protect what's mine with everything I have. I'm not yours. Not yet. His smile was knowing. But you're considering it.
Wondering what it would be like.
Wondering if maybe someone dangerous is exactly what you need after years of safe. Damn him for being right. Over dinner, he told me about his life. About growing up in the Bronx, his father's death when he was 19, taking over the family business too young. About building an empire through a combination of ruthlessness and strategy. About the legitimate businesses he'd developed, restaurants, construction companies, real estate. I'm trying to transition, he admitted. Move everything legitimate within the next 5 years. But that's complicated when you have competitors who don't want you to leave and law enforcement who'll never believe you've changed. Why tell me this? Because if you're going to be in my life, you need to understand it. All of it. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine. I know this is insane. I know it's too fast, too intense, too dangerous. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since last night. The way you stood there, terrified but not running. The way you handled yourself. I want to know you, Catherine. This is crazy, I whispered, but I didn't pull my hand away.
Yes.
But say yes anyway.
And I did.
Dating Vincent Marcello was like living in two worlds simultaneously. During the day, I was normal Catherine, sales calls, coffee with Angela, Sunday phone calls with Daniel. But several nights a week, I'd slip into Vincent's world. He took me to restaurants where everyone knew him and no one asked questions. To his mother's house in the Bronx for Sunday dinners where I met his extended family, cousins and uncles and associates, all watching me with curious eyes, wondering who this outsider was who'd caught Vincent's attention. Lucia took me under her wing, teaching me how to navigate this strange new world. Never ask about business, she instructed. Never repeat what you hear. Always be loyal. Always be discreet.
Can you do that?
I found that I could. Vincent was different than I expected. Gentle with me in ways that contradicted everything I knew about him. He remembered small details, that I liked my coffee with cream but no sugar, that I was allergic to shellfish, that I missed Daniel terribly even though I was proud of him for being independent. 3 months in, he took me to Atlantic City for the weekend. We stayed at the Borgata, played blackjack until 3 a.m., walked on the beach at sunrise. In our hotel room overlooking the ocean, he pulled me close and said, "I'm falling in love with you." I kissed him instead of answering, because I was terrified of admitting I felt the same way. But the danger was always there, lurking beneath the surface. Like the night we were having dinner at one of his restaurants in the Bronx, and 2 men walked in. I saw Vincent's entire demeanor change, the relaxed man beside me vanishing, replaced by someone cold and calculating. "Stay here," he said quietly, already standing. I watched as he met the men near the entrance, their conversation low and intense. After a few minutes, he made a subtle gesture. 3 of his men appeared from nowhere, escorted the visitors out. Vincent returned to the table, his expression neutral. "I'm sorry about that." "Who were they?" "No one you need to worry about. It's handled." Vincent dash. "Catherine." He took my hand. "This is my life. There will be moments like this. If you can't handle it, tell me now." I thought about leaving, about going back to my safe, boring existence. But when I looked at Vincent, this dangerous, complicated man who made me feel more alive than I had in years, I couldn't do it. "I can handle it," I said. "I can handle it," I said. 6 months in, everything changed. I got home from work one Tuesday to find my apartment door slightly open. Every instinct screamed danger. I should have run, called 911, done anything but walk inside. But I was worried about what I'd find. Inside, my apartment had been torn apart. Drawers emptied, cushions slashed, everything I owned scattered across the floor. On my coffee table, someone had left a note in red marker. "Tell Vincent he can't protect everyone." I called him with shaking hands. He was there in 15 minutes with 4 of his men. The fury on his face was terrifying. "Pack a bag," he said, his voice tight. "You're coming home with me. Tonight. No arguments." "Vincent, what's happening?" "The men from the restaurant last week. They're from a Brooklyn crew that wants to expand into my territory. They're sending a message." His jaw clenched. "Using you to send it. That ends now." His brownstone in Park Slope was beautiful, original details mixed with modern security that would make Fort Knox jealous. He gave me the master suite, set up guards outside, made it clear I wasn't leaving without protection. "This is my fault," he said that night as we sat in his living room. "I should have anticipated this. Should have protected you better. You can't control everything. In my world, yes, I can. And I failed you. That's unacceptable." He pulled me into his arms, and for the first time since I'd known him, his hands were shaking. "If something had happened to you, it didn't. I'm fine. Because you got lucky. Next time, you might not be." He pulled back to look at me.
"Move in with me."
"Officially. Let me keep you safe." "Vincent, that's too fast, Dash." "Fast? Catherine, I've loved you since that first night. I've spent 6 months falling deeper, trying to be patient, trying to do this right. But patience is a luxury we don't have anymore.
These people know about you.
They'll use you to get to me unless I make it absolutely clear that touching you means war." "How do you make that clear?" He pulled a small box from his pocket. "By making you my wife." I stopped breathing. I know it's insane, he continued. I know we should wait, do this properly. But I can't risk losing you. Marry me, Catherine. Be mine in every way that matters. Let me protect you with everything I have. The smart answer was no. The safe answer was no. But I'd stopped being smart and safe the night I met Vincent Marcello. Yes, I whispered. His kiss was fierce and desperate and perfect. We married 2 weeks later in a small ceremony at Lucia's house. Just family, just us. I wore a simple white dress. Vincent wore a suit. His cousin served as best man. Angela cried through the entire thing, happy for me despite not quite understanding my rush to marry that mysterious guy from Little Italy. I love you, Vincent said when we exchanged rings. I will protect you, provide for you, and love you until my last breath.
You're mine now, Catherine.
Forever. Forever, I agreed. That was 7 years ago. I'm now 45, and my life is nothing like I imagined it would be. I'm married to a man who most of America would call a criminal. I live in a world of shadows and secrets. I know things that would send powerful men to prison. But I'm also happier than I've ever been. Vincent kept his promise. He transitioned most of his operations legitimate. The restaurants are legal now, the construction company above board. There are still shadows. There always will be. But he's building something his future grandchildren can be proud of. Daniel graduated from BU last year. He knows who Vincent really is now. I couldn't hide it forever. They get along surprisingly well. Vincent set him up with a good job, nothing illegal, just opportunities that came from knowing the right people. Angela and Tony had twins, and I'm an aunt who spoils them rotten. Lucia is still the matriarch of our family, ruling Sunday dinners with an iron fist and infinite love. Last month, Vincent and I celebrated our 7th anniversary back at Lucia's restaurant, at the same table where he'd first told me he wanted to see me again. Any regrets? He asked, holding my hand across the table. I thought about that night 7 years ago, about parking on the wrong street, seeing something I shouldn't have, meeting a man who would change everything. Not a single one, I said honestly. Good. He smiled that smile that still made my heart race. Because I'm never letting you go. I'm counting on it. Look, I know what you're thinking. How can I justify being with someone like Vincent? How can I live in this world, know what I know, and still call it love? The truth is, life isn't black and white. People aren't just good or evil. Vincent has done terrible things. I won't pretend otherwise. But he's also protected dozens of families, provided jobs to people who had nothing, kept neighborhoods safe in ways the police couldn't. He's complex. His world is complicated. But his love for me? That's simple and pure and real. I chose him. Every day, I choose him again. And he chooses me. That night 7 years ago, I witnessed a murder and thought my life was over. Instead, it was just beginning. Sometimes the wrong place at the wrong time turns out to be exactly where you needed to be. Sometimes the dangerous choice is the right one. And sometimes, love finds you in the most unexpected places, even in a dark alley in Little Italy, staring into the eyes of a killer who would become your salvation. So that's my story. From witness to wife. From terrified to transformed. Do you think I'm crazy? Maybe I am. But I'm happy. And at 45, that's all that really matters. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Have you ever taken a dangerous chance on love? Did it work out? I want to hear from you. And remember, life's too short for safe and boring. Sometimes you have to park on the wrong street, witness the impossible, and let a dangerous man show you what love really means. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. Now go live your own story. Make it extraordinary.